Hello everybody, it's Gen608 here with another series beginning of Unconditional Surrender in Europe, designed by Salvatore Vasta, published by GMT Games. I put up a little poll up on Board Game Geek, and I got 6 votes so far. Doesn't end until a couple days from now. But the choices were to do a video. I'm in 2 different games, one with an East First playthrough and one where there was a diplomatic disaster. I put up the first turn of the diplomatic disaster game already up on YouTube and Board Game Geek, and I put up a little poll in some discussion thread that we had, and I got 3 votes so far for both. So I'm going to start doing both of those. With that little preamble, this is the first episode for the East Front first. My opponent is known as Lucciante, Lucciante, on Board Game Geek. When I get to the early diplomatic disaster, I will mention that person's name there as well. I probably won't remember to keep saying their names each time I start one of these videos, so forgive me. I will try to remember to put it in the comments as well. I want to give them credit for playing these games and allowing me to show you the videos for them. So, I can't remember if we actually agreed on Rome not going to the west or not. I kind of played it that that's the way it was. So my opponent can get on the thing and correct me if I'm wrong. But let's just go ahead and get started here. It's September of 1939, so we know what the weather is. And we'll just get started on this. I think I need to change something in my preferences here real quick. Yeah, I want to center on opponent's moves. Okay. I think we're over in Poland right away. So I think I was just showing him how the modifiers work with the pop-ups and stuff. We are using the combined national tracks and combined faction card here. So it's a little bit easier for us to pop up what's going on. He had declared war on the Soviets and then declared war on Poland. So you're going to see me setting that up here. We did have sort of a gentleman's agreement in the East, and basically the Germans take their initial setups, and in exchange the Poles can't free setup. If I ever have a German that's allowed to do a free setup, then I will discuss possible defenses for the Polish based on how the Germans set themselves up. Right now, most of my games, we don't want to bother with that. We don't want to think that hard this early in the game. We just kind of take it as it comes. And you'll see that the French willpower also will go up here. Oh, I'm doing the production right now. Okay, and then you saw me, I just moved the French up to their extra 10 because declared on the Soviets and not the French. We just did the economy phases. There's no strategic warfare. And then he starts off with strategic moving the one of the German infantry on the west. You strategically move it to the border with Denmark because if you get a fair weather turn in October or November, you can just take Denmark out, which can be useful if the West or the Soviets get a good pull in the diplomacy phase. So, don't think I had one for the West. The Soviets. Oh dear, what did I do with the Soviets? I actually strategically moved something. Oh, I think I moved an infantry. down to the south because I figured if he's going through Poland, he might just come running to where all the open territory is. So I was trying to get units down there early. That's what I was doing. Boom. And here goes the German army into Poland. He led off with the infantry, so different way of trying to take out Poland. It called for an assault. Oh, I think we're doing combat commitment. Yeah. Combat commitment, and we both revealed, and we both committed. So he threw in an airplane from the south. I threw in a Russian ground support. He went up to 4. I was at +1. He rolled a 1, and I rolled a 6. And then my ground support came back in 1 turn. So not a good start for the Germans at this point. Now I think he went with a mole assault here with the Panzer army. And again, we're to combat commitment. I chose not to. I'm trying to save it for the battles in front of Warsaw, the last one I have. So he committed his airplane again. I guess he's attacking with the infantry. He got a 6, I got a 1, so I was flipped and moved back into my city. He went ahead and came after me again. So I was at a -2. He was at a 0. We're back to combat commitment. I saw no point to doing... I almost thought about doing it and then said no. Not worth it. And he got a 5 to my 4. And that pretty much ended his combat. And then he moved this infantry up here. I missed something there. Oh, we were checking to see if there was a city there. So he attacked. We're in combat commitment again, which was pretty straightforward. I wasn't going to waste my last one there. And he got a 6 to my 1, so he eliminated it. Excuse me. Lost a will point, and then he did not take the hex with the infantry. Moved his armor in. That way to go 3 movement points. I think I was showing him some of the features. Sometimes you'll see things pop up where I was just showing him how features work and stuff. So he attacked this infantry unit out here. I went to 0. He started at 4. Probably back at combat commitment again. And I did commit here, trying to slow down the advance on Warsaw. So it was +6 to +1. He got a 10. I got a 4. So I was flipped and had to retreat. I was trying to draw him away from the drive on Warsaw. Not sure that it was going to work. Went ahead and took the hex. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 movement points he'd use, so he had 4 left. So he attacked again. And he rolled a 5, and I had a 1, which was a retreat, rather than... I think he really wanted to see a defender kaputted. And then he moved his armor north rather than taking the hex. And then decided... He was trying to figure out which way he should move his army. And he finally did that and attacked. And got a 7 to a 1, so he eliminated it. Then his infantry attacked north of Warsaw. It looks like his idea was to have the infantry try to blow open a hole and let the armor run through. That's one way of trying to do it. I tend to try and start with the 1st Panzer in the north and see what it gets me, and then the infantry basically makes up the difference. Different ways of doing, taking out Poland. So he got a 9 to a 4, which was a retreat. And he had 5 movement points there, so he took it down to 2 and attacked again. He added in his last sortie on that airplane. Or I think he went too far. Yeah. Got a 4 plus 2 is a 6, and I managed to roll a 6, so I held out in Warsaw. He'd run out of movement points, and then he took another 2 will points from Danzig. So I'm down to 8 or 6 will points. Let's take a quick check. So I'm down to 6 will points with the Poles. So he's getting closer. But he's also running out of units, and I don't think he's going to quite make conquest of Poland this turn. He really needed to take Warsaw. He rolled an 11 coming across the river. And I rolled a 3. So I was kaputted. He said, I'm going to kill that guy. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he had 3 movement points left here. And at plus 6, he ends up with an 8. I ended up with a 3, so I was eliminated. And then he had 3 movement points left, and so he just went and moved up adjacent to the garrison unit, because then he could, quite possibly blow through me up in the north. Now we went to the west, and the thing about the west is because there's no east invaded and there's no loss of the appeasement pack. I'm not allowed to move anything in the Med, and I'm not allowed to have my units end outside their home country. So I really had nothing I could do as far as moves or whatever. So it's kind of like the West just doesn't do anything. I do my supply. Went to the Soviets. So I moved him up there. More is just sort of a delaying tactic. And then moved the Russian Air Force forward and started running Russian infantry in to keep him from just running right up to the Russian border. If I'd have been thinking, I probably should have put Russian in Warsaw, but it didn't. And we go through the no supply phase. Nobody's moving anything. Nobody's out of supply. Now we're in replacements, and of course the Axis spends their points to get back their airplanes. I cleared my Middle East guy. The Soviets fixed up their airplane. There were no upgrades, and there was nothing to mobilize. So then we got to the diplomacy phase. So I brought up the diplomacy cup. And he pulled a political success. So first thing he did was go ahead and put a pro marker in Italy. He didn't want me getting that. And then the West pulled a no event. And then the Soviets pulled a no event. So not a good start for the West. Germans are getting ahead of the diplomatic game even without a conquest. And so we went on here. Victory check, end of turn phase. Let's see, we got things off the turn track. I've got my, bring up the cards here so you can see stuff moving around. He got his, he got some armies that he's going to be able to build next turn. And we moved into October of 39. So now we went into the weather phase, and this is a multi-turn session. He rolled horrible. I think that's like severe in everything. So it went from fair everywhere to severe, or severe and poor, I guess. So, yay weather. Let's get some of this stuff off the tracks there. Close down the diplomacy cup, and away we go. Don't think he declared war. And I'm not allowed to. So we went to production. We just kind of both did it at the same time because it wasn't really relevant. Strategic move. I don't think he had one. And then I think I moved another army somewhere. The guy that had moved last turn. Oops, I'm hitting the undo button. No, maybe I didn't move. Yeah, I don't think I moved Russian this time. Excuse me again. Unfortunately, there seems to be quite a bit of dust up in the air right now, making me sneeze. So, here he goes again. Since it's severe weather, all he can do is do assaults. So, he's one, two. He's 2 for a German, 3, 4 for buddies, 5, 6 for isolation, and then -1 because it's a city. That's why he's at +5. I'm at +1 because I went ahead and played my ground support marker there. He got an 11. I got a 5. That was a retreat, which I'm not allowed to do, so I'm flipped, but, And then my ground support doesn't come back for 6 months, so that's going to hurt. Then they activated the 10th Army. One, 2, 3. And then he attacked across. Brought the armored unit back to do the same thing. Or did he? Nope, I think he decided not to. Because I was at -2 and he was at +2. They figured that was good enough. And even though we forgot to give him the +2 for isolation, if you look at the die roll result, it's a 4 to a 3, would still not have blown up that Polish army. So it worked out the same. We did discuss it shortly after this. Then he has the armored unit. For some reason, attacked the Polish garrison that was in the swamp, which I really didn't understand. Then I was doing some nonsense here with the French army. This is where it took me a while to realize I couldn't do this. Put the British into France because, hey, it's not legal. So I was thinking I was just a normal, West first. I could move the British in and rearrange the French and do my normal defensing kind of stuff. And it's like, that was me showing him how I did the move. But in the end, you'll see me in a later video or either later in this video that I went, I can't do that. So I had to get them out of there. Then I did my supply, and we're done. We went over to the Soviets. The Soviets were like, how long can I keep Poland alive? So I went and stuck the Russian unit there so he couldn't just run into Brest. I moved the garrison there. And Russians all along the river line. Then I was done. I got the replacements. I think he just brought back his airplanes. The West brought back their fleets, even though I can't have that fleet in France. That will be corrected soon. And what was replacements of the Soviets, upgrades, mobilization. This is where the Germans get to build some infantry. Not sure where he built it. I think he built it, yeah, in Königsberg and in, oh God, what is that? Breslau. He wanted to overwhelm since he's coming east anyway, he might as well just build the units over there. And the Polish, replenished the army because they could. I built a Polish army down in Lvov in the dreams that I would actually get it back to the front. We went into the diplomacy phase, and you'll see the Axis. Let me pull up the cup here. The Axis actually, after their great start, then they pulled a political failure. So, needless to say, the Soviets got get greedy here. Yes, I put a pro marker in Yugoslavia thinking if I get lucky and bring Yugoslavia in, then there's, all these little Yugoslavian units that can come running across the German border, and he's got to bring his army back to deal with it. Just trying to delay the inevitable in Russia any way I could. And then the West went and pulled, and they got a political success. And I went and got a political pro marker and dropped it into Greece. Again, the whole idea of a Balkan front to dilute the German army when it's relatively weak in order to slow down their invasion of Russia. This was a concerted effort on my part. I'm really not afraid of the Italians with the British when he goes east first. It would actually give me something to do. So I wasn't too worried about the Italians at this point. And then the Soviets went and pulled. And what they did is they took the political failure and a no event, put them back in the cup because, hey, why not? Okay. And then we should be to the end of turn phase, which is basically going to be, stuff moving. Germans picked up some stuff. And then we went into the weather phase again. I guess it's going to be a 3-turner. And then so we got poor, and fair. So, don't believe they declared war anywhere. You'll notice I did put the Poles into the Soviet box, so I know that they were an ally of mine. I'll be able to use, coming back in the war, I'll be able to use a partisan all the way through Poland, right up to the Danzig corridor once he conquers it. Which, can be nice to be able to break those river lines and stuff to try and make inroads into Germany. I think we're just doing production here. And then he's... Yeah. I didn't see us do any strategic moves. This time he came along with a sortie. I don't think I had anything I could play. So that was us going through. He got all the way up to +2 for a guy, +1 for a buddy, +2 for isolation, which was 5, and then 6 for the airplane, and then -1 for the weather, -1 for the city. So that's how he ends up at +4, and I'm at minus... I don't know why I'm at -1. I think I'm setting it back to 0. And then he rolled an 8, and I couldn't roll a 6, and the 2 is actually a DD, so I was flipped, and then eliminated. And then he took the hex with somebody, but I'm not sure where. And yeah, I should be down to... Yeah, because he'd killed a unit before, so I was down to 5. He takes a unit down to 4, and then I'm down to 2, so all he now needs to do is take one more city. And he brought the Panzer down. And he throws in an airplane. Oh no, he brings out another infantry. Just an airplane to get himself up to +3 to 0. He got a 6. I managed to roll a 2. We were not playing with the last stand optional rule, so I'm forced to retreat because I'm allowed to retreat into an enemy territory, and he takes the city. So, being at 0, we do a conquest right here. Get this faction card off of here. So you see I took out all the Polish units there. I think I get them off here too. Oh, we went off and got I put down control markers for the Russians still technically controlling all these cities. Got rid of the Poles on the faction card there. And then that also went onto his faction card for the first conquered country. He went from 5 to 7, so he's at 47 now. He gets a garrison unit in his eliminated box, grabs a pro marker, goes over and throws it in the diplomacy cup, and then he got to place a pro marker here. Oh, no, instead of placing a pro marker, he took out the pro Russian in Yugoslavia, so he didn't have to worry about his southern front so much, which kind of made sense. I mean, he could have put a pro marker down in Romania, but I think he wasn't too worried about that. So he took Warsaw. I think he actually attacked the Russians here. Yes, he attacked the Russians, trying to get a free will point by eliminating a Russian, but just we're in combat commitment here. And I think I threw a tanks marker. Whoops. If I remember right. Yeah, he threw an airplane, I threw tanks marker. He was 2, 3, 4, 5 minus 1. I think he was the net plus 4. Oh, and he threw in an airplane. So yeah, he was a 5. And I was a 1. He rolled an 8. I rolled a 3. So I was flipped and retreated. And he kind of ran out of units here to be able to pursue that guy and kill him. I'm not sure where's that guy moved to. And that's me doing things in the West that I'm not supposed to be doing because I'm not supposed to have the British. So I went ahead and brought some Russians into the fray. Knowing that I was going to have poor weather, I figured, why not? Could get lucky and get an AS on one of these attacks. And basically just retreated behind the various river lines and said, go ahead. And that was about as good as I could get. Nobody's doing anything there. The Germans in this resupply phase obviously are going to get back sorties on their airplanes. Flipped over his face down infantry as well. UK just went ahead and got their stuff back. Like I said, I'm doing things in France that I'm not allowed to do. I'm not sure exactly where I corrected this, but I know I found it later. Oh, I just kind of went right by the diplomacy phase, didn't I? Nope, here we are. We're starting the diplomacy phase. Okay. So it's the Axis diplomacy phase. They pay their 5. They pulled another political success. So I was chiding him to go ahead and activate Italy, and he really didn't want to do that. Instead, I believe he put a pro-Axis in Yugoslavia. So it went from being pro-Russian to, being removed last turn, and then so the West said, hey, there's, we need to get something in there. Maybe I can get the Soviets a political success. So I threw it in there. Of course, the Soviets could pull a political failure, and it could become a disaster. And the Soviets did the same thing, basically trying to build us up so that yes, the Germans have a shot at getting some political successes, but we need him too to try and counter him, because otherwise, it would have been all German, no Allied chances. And we went to the end turn. People got their stuff back. And we go to the weather phase, and we said, that's it, we're done. So, not the most ideal start for the Germans, but not really all that bad. Yes, they had some very bad luck going into Poland, with their infantry attacks. I don't think I would have done that assault on Posen. I think I would have tried to, move that infantry unit up and maybe attack it with mobile attacks from across the river or whatever. It's one of the reasons why I usually start with the armored unit up here, the 1st Panzer. I try to come down and glance on the guy across the river, make him retreat, so I can end up with the armor behind Posen and then have the infantry attack it with isolation, so that you get more attacks that way, and you have a better chance of taking Poland out in one turn. Like I said, if we ever did a free German setup, here on the Eastern Front in Königsberg, it would drastically change how the Poles set up their defenses, because, quite honestly, their defenses are not all that good. The way they set up their defenses just doesn't really work. It's got too many holes. You can't guard all that. You have to try to hold out for at least one turn and then hope for horrible weather and let you hold on for a couple more turns. No matter how you do it, the Germans are going to overwhelm you, because they get those 2 infantry the next month. And by November, they're going to have enough to just be able to assault you out of either Warsaw or Krakow or whatever they need to do to grab you the last, 2 points or 4 points, whatever they need. So, anyway, this is the first turn of an East Front strategy. I'm not sure about this whole Russian thing. It seemed to me like with poor weather, it was a good idea. And then as the weather breaks, these Russian armies are going to go run back to getting across the line in Russia. He has a longer road to go get Romania, because he has to activate Yugoslavia and then get Romania, because he doesn't have a border anymore. So Yugoslavia or Hungary's got to come in before he can activate Romania. So my southern front's kind of okay at this point. So I'm not too worried about that. I'll see it coming, hopefully. And in the West, like I said, I'm doing something illegal here. You cannot have the British in France because they have to stay in their home country. So I think it's in the next turn that I correct that, or at the end of the next turn, the next episode. So anyway, there you have it. East first. If you like my videos, please subscribe. Leave me comments. I do get back to them sooner or later. And we will see how this plays out. I will be running 2 sets of videos concurrently. Probably, I have about 17 vlogs for this one. I know one was messed up. I think the 3rd episode will be more of a summary of how we got to a certain point, because I didn't start the vlog right away. So my apologies for some of this that might be a little bit disjointed, because sometimes I don't get my vlogs started right when I first start up the game. I've started to do that now. As soon as I load it, first thing I do is hit start vlog, so that even if I start to forget, I'll have it. Anyway, like I said, I'm Gen608. If you like my videos, please subscribe, leave me comments. I will be back with another episode in a little while. And until then, stay safe and bye-bye.